Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now July 2nd of 2024, and given that the Acolyte Episode 6 looms for Disney+, Episode 5 failed to reverse the backlash. We all know it, and Lucasfilm knows it. That's exactly why they've been all heading into desperate damage control. Those out there like, of course, Amandla Stenberg, leslye Headland, and most importantly, Kathleen Kennedy, really protecting the show at all costs. Now, we know that those like Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, have, of course, headed into damage control over the Acolyte and are really trying to make this show seem a lot better than what it really is. Alright, we all know that they discount all of the criticism going toward this series and the fans that really have nothing to do with the show anymore. Most fans have walked away from the Acolyte after episode 3, but I digress. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You could also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, one thing about the Acolyte is that we all know that the main problem here, apart from the overall agenda by Disney, and that's the least of its problems as far as I'm concerned, the main problem with the Acolyte: terrible storytelling, the acting is subpar, the writing makes no sense, the overall execution is sloppy, to say the least. This show has so many problems going into it that if you really just go through episode by episode, you can see not only so many back and forth scenarios that make no sense, but you can also see a lot of canon-breaking moments in the Acolyte. Now, shifting away from all of this, when it comes down to Kathleen Kennedy, at no surprise, she is going into damage control yet again over the Acolyte after episode 5. Really, failed to fix everything. Let's get into this. Now, with the Acolyte episode 5, already failing to reverse the backlash for both Disney and Lucasfilm, one major development now has more to do with Kathleen Kennedy heading into damage control over the Acolyte ratings disaster, where she delivered the following. I think the growing problem, especially in this industry, is the rise of toxic males, putting so much pressure on the bright young female stars, especially in our series, The Acolyte, where you see it happening there, and we see this happening many times with Rey in the sequels. Many like to use the term agenda, when in reality I don't think any fan really knows what that even means. We have carefully gone over and reviewed the critics and criticism of this series that we delivered, and we have heard nothing but fantastic things about what Leslye had created. Fans love this show, and any others saying otherwise, I think, are stuck in their own narrative. This is a series for women, by women, and I couldn't be more proud to be the one who got to work with leslye Headland. We believe representation is our #1 priority here at Lucasfilm and Disney, and we believe any level of criticism that we are receiving holds nothing to do with the storytelling, but rather the ongoing issue of those that remain opposed to representation and diversity, especially in a series like Star Wars. Now guys, before I move on about what Kathleen Kennedy is spewing again, this just goes to show you that she is literally admitting that representation is their priority over proper storytelling and character development. Now look, representation is fine, diversity is fine if it comes naturally throughout the writing process. If you're writing a script and it so happens to fit the story, then so be it. But in this case, and in many cases, mainly by Lucasfilm, they're notorious, by the way, under Disney's wing, for shoehorning in a lot of their overall DEI agenda. But when you have those like Kathleen Kennedy literally admitting that their agenda is a priority over storytelling, that's when you have a problem, and it's exactly why this new Rey movie is going to fail as much as the Acolyte series. By the way, filming is delayed for that until 2025. This is exactly what I've been talking about. This most likely is not coming out now until 2027. She goes on to conclude again, it's just irresponsible behavior that needs to be addressed constantly, and it's something I informed Leslye about ahead of shooting this thing. We knew we had to do something unique for the fans. We knew we had to hire those that didn't really know anything about Star Wars to create an unbiased production, and it worked out perfectly for us in the long run. What it boils down to are fans hold this issue with women playing strong, powerful roles above men, and this is something that I think we need to correct over time and make some of our customers realize that women are important too. The Acolyte is one of our finest stories yet, and I am not willing to talk about Season 2. We don't really really have plans for that. But I will say that Leslie is a true Star Wars fan who doesn't take anything for granted, and enjoys the entire process of evolving this major brand. We knew we had to shift away from George's vision to expand to something new. It needed to feel new and flow in a unique way to attract new fans. When you go down the generations, they tend to enjoy different things, and that's why we had to adapt the series to the modern world and such. Whatever criticism is going on with the Acolyte is nothing more than a minority, as far from what we can tell. The Star Wars community tends to attract the toxic side of the fanbase that tries to convince others with their way of thinking over what they like and dislike, and it's just unhealthy behavior for Star Wars. This is our finest project yet that represents LGBTQ properly, and you are always going to have some level of fans that will be against that and for the wrong reasons. Now look, again, Kathleen Kennedy keeps going on about LGBTQ representation, this and that. Now look, we all know at the same exact time, she knows the overall truth of what's going on with the Acolyte. This is no different than when they heavily defended The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Both films are terrible as far as I see things, guys, but they said the same exact thing. Oh, it's just a minority of fans that hate these movies. And even Daisy Ridley recently admitted in a recent interview when she was talking about the Rey film that, yeah, looking back at The Last Jedi, it was heavily, divisive. We all know that. And she literally admitted that. It was a big divide for the fans. She couldn't say it back then, not in 2017 through 2019, heck, not even in 2020 to 2021. But now in 2024, Ridley was finally able to admit that, yeah, The Last Jedi really divided fans quite bad. And the same exact thing happened with The Rise of Skywalker. So that just goes to show you, as time passes by, some of these actors and actresses are willing to admit the truth. So we have those like Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye Headland that are really just shoehorning DEI into the Acolyte. It's no different than what they have done before in the past. It's just that now it's more extreme. We all saw this with the Acolyte trailers 1 and 2, where everyone saw right through the glass, right? Everyone was waking up about Disney's overall shenanigans. And you know what? I think that we all have to give a big clap to those like Elon Musk, whether you hate or love the guy, I don't care, but at least he's a large enough voice to really use his platform to wake a lot of people up that really didn't know much about Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger, that now know exactly who they really are and what they're really all about. So again, South Park Studios, they woke a lot of people up as well that really didn't know anything about what was going on over at Disney. And now you got the Disney tapes that are really, shedding light on what we already knew about, but it's living proof of what's going on right now. All of that leaked, material going out there about Disney's agenda. So overall, I would really love to hear what everyone has to say about the damage control from Kathleen Kennedy, from Leslye Headland going into the Acolyte series, and what's been going on with this series overall. Episode 6 debuts very soon. We only have 2 episodes after that, and it looks like that there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions in this season. So overall, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.